XJ Talk Show.
It's on.
Now.
Greetings and welcome to episode 22 of Jeep Cherokee xjtalk.com show. Tonight's show is going to be another general chat session. Just going to talk about a few things, some things on the site, things that are coming up, and hopefully you'll find it entertaining and interesting. We'll get started here in just a minute. This segment sponsored by fourwheelingplus.com. Do you own a Jeep? Do you need help getting it up? Check out fourwheelingplus.com for great deals on Jeep lift kits. That's the number 4 wheeling plus plus.com.
xjtalk.com.
xjtalk.com.
It's where you go when you're not off-road.
Hey, how would you like to advertise on XJ Talk Show and reach a worldwide Jeep audience? Just send an email to advertise@xjtalk.com for more information.
Hey, I just wanted to tell you about xjtalk.com. It's a great site. There's no bashing. Everybody's nice and friendly. Great place to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, am I totally screwed or what?
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for tuning in to our most recent podcast, live show and podcast. And tonight, let me switch over to the camera here, if I remember how to do it. Tonight, if you're watching the live show or you're watching the recording that was on Ustream or YouTube, as you can see, I'm talking into a large frying pan. The the mic pop filter that came in that I ordered last week came in today. And, you know, my gosh, 6 inches, which is the size of this pop filter, 6 inches looks a hell of a lot bigger than what I thought it sounded like when I was ordering it. It's huge. I could put like 3 microphones behind this thing, and it would be enough to cover all of them. So I guess I can see where the 4-inch ones are maybe a better fit. So I don't know. Maybe I'll order a 4-inch microphone pop filter here in the near future, and you might be able to see part of me on the screen. So that really takes up a lot of space, doesn't it? I mean, I got the microphone. I mean, there's a good, 2 inches on either side of the microphone here that this thing is huge. But, it works. It keeps me a little bit further away from the microphone, too, which I think probably helps. And I really have to blow. And even at that, it's not as bad as it was. And I'm not hearing any pops whenever I'm saying peas. So, or taking a pee either. I mean, it works for both things. Of course, that might explain why it smells funny. Anyway, so another one of those shows where we don't really have anything planned as far as guests go. We are going to be lining some up, so stay tuned. I know that Steve 4.3LXJ has some more things that he's going to talk to us about. I know Mark from DETOURS was a very popular show, and I would like to get him back as soon as he has time. Last time I spoke with him, he told me he was extremely busy, working 10, 12 hours a day trying to fill all of his DETOURS backbone orders, and I think some tailbone orders as well. I know Matt M. Smorenberg, or I should say Matt Smorenberg. He's M. It's always, I wish that he would almost use like Green Hornet or something on XJ Talk. It's like I say MS Morenberg, and I'm not sure. I don't think that's exactly right. Anyway, Matt, our administrator on xjtalk.com, he ordered a backbone from DETOURS, Mark at DETOURS, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the backbone in person. I've of course seen it on the website, and I've seen Mark's work on my Jeep from the 2 bumpers that I've purchased from him, the Slimline bumper and the custom front bumper that he made for me. Does beautiful work. If you're not aware of DETOURS, you should go over there and have a look at their site, DETOURSUSA.com. And of course, he's on XJ Talk quite a lot. We appreciate that. It's always fun to have him there. He's been keeping us up to date on the very severe weather that they've been having in Kentucky. So it was pretty interesting. And here in Texas, we've been having a drought, and it's getting pretty dry. There's burn warnings every day. It's been extremely windy. And even more so, or I should say, you can tell even more so driving around in a big square box. And that's another reason why I'm really glad that I was able to get a replacement drop pitman arm from Greg Orange XJ. I still need to put it on there. I'm hoping that the problem that I'm currently having with the drop pitman arm that I do have is a manufacturer process that wasn't. I think it was made slightly too big. It fits on the steering box really loose. It doesn't seem to be loose, but I think the pressure of it moving all the front end parts and the front wheels causes it to move kind of, not diagonally. The edges will move up and down. It's only about a 1/16 of an inch, but it's enough play in the steering wheel that you really have to keep your eye on where you're going. You can't really hold the steering wheel in one place and figure that it's not going to drift. I guess every vehicle drifts somewhat, especially with all this wind we've been having. But yeah, I got to get that other pitman arm on there, and I may just go ahead and put it on there and not paint it red. In fact, that might be what's the problem with the other one. And no, Wayne and everybody else out there with a green Jeep, I'm not gonna paint it green before I put it on there. That would be too Christmassy with all the red front end parts and the green drop pitman arm. Yeah, I think I'll leave it black. I think it's. I'm getting ready to put the stock front skid plate back on, and you're not going to be able to see the majority of that stuff anyway. So anyway, I thought what I would do is. Just like we've been doing here in the past, if you guys would like to call into the show, please feel free to do so. We have the ability to take calls on Skype, and if you haven't added xjtalk.com to your Skype contacts list, please do so. And that's how you can contact us through Skype on the show, is just calling xjtalk.com. That is our contact name. and we'll put you right on the air, so to speak, the air with no air, the internet. And we also have the ability to take calls on our landline, and that would be at 530-675-4102. 530-675-4102. It's not necessary for you to have anything major to talk about. Just call in and say hi. And if nothing else, just introduce yourself to the other members on XJ Talk. I neglected to mention, I guess I figure that everybody knows who I am, but my name's Tony. I'm Motoroy on xjtalk.com. And the whole reason for this show and podcast is to help promote xjtalk.com. And that is a site about Jeep Cherokees. XJ is the two-letter designator that Jeep assigned the Cherokees. And, don't confuse the Cherokee with the Grand, the Grand Cherokee. The Grand Cherokees have a whole nother set of two-letter designators, and they are separate, different, very different Jeeps. Many of them came with V8s. Some of them came with the same engines that the Cherokees did, but they're very different Jeeps. There's people that take the Grand Cherokees off-road. They build them up just like we do the Jeep Cherokees, the XJs, but it's a little different. The front end's a little different. The joints, the CV joints that are used are a little different than the U joints that we use. So there's slight subtle differences. Many of us believe that the XJ is actually a superior off-road vehicle, and that would usually start an argument or a fight amongst Jeep Cherokee and Grand Cherokee owners. And then I think that, although I don't, I think that Wranglers and CJs are hated equally amongst the XJ and the Grand Cherokee folks. Grand Cherokees were like ZJs, WJs, OJs. I'm sorry, that's a different story. So let's see. Well, we've got a few people here in the chat room tonight. I see Mark from DETOURS has come, East Text Hunter, and VW Fool Y, and a total of 3 guests. So thank you guys for coming in. And VW Fool Y says, "How's everyone tonight?" That was he said that a while back. Just didn't notice it. East Texas Hunter asks a good question. Where is everyone? And he mentions that I believe this is for my drop Pitman arm color. He suggests that I could go with yellow. Well, I've got those red lights, those red LED lights on the front too. So the black would work because you really wouldn't see it in the red LED lights. The red works very well because it's very reflective of the red LED light. So, I think I'll just stick with black. I don't want to waste my time painting this part, especially since I'm going to put that skid plate back on, and the majority of the stuff that is visible now will not be visible. I'll know that it's there, though. Ever since I went to that Houston meet and greet, that I think it was Chex Max that showed up in his black Jeep Cherokee, and I think he had like a 6.5-inch lift and 35-inch tires on it. And he had painted his coils that lime green, the front coils on the Jeep. He had painted lime green, and it really looked good. And I figured, it doesn't really affect the performance of anything, and it makes the Jeep stand out. And that's one of the cool things about our Jeeps. Even if you keep it plain Jane and all you do is lift it and put tires and if you have raised white lettering, you put that on the inside so it's not visible, and you have black rims, it still is impressive. So I think we all enjoy that little difference of the type vehicles that we drive, the difference than all the stockers out there. And it's even different from Wranglers. It's different from full-size pickups that are the stock or lifted. So it's something that you find out pretty quick that people notice when you're driving around with it. And I think that gets to be somewhat of an addiction. You kind of get a smile even if you don't allow yourself to show that smile inside. You say, wow, somebody's noticing what I'm driving around. It's something special, not only to myself, but to other people. Yeah, of course, there's people that just give you a look like, what the hell are you doing? They definitely don't get it. So anyway, if you guys, again, if you'd like to call in, please feel free. I'm just going to go with a few things here I was going to talk about. Don't worry about your timing of calling in. I can always stop and answer the call, and we can chat. That number is 530-675-4102. If that's long distance for you, put your number up on chat, and I'll call you. It's not long distance for me as long as it's within the 48 continental United States. So a few days ago, I posted, 1 day ago it says, I posted what's on your modified wish list. And, I've actually sat down and typed up or handwritten out the things that I want to do to the Jeep. I figure I'm about halfway through. And it's funny how that list always seems to grow every time, I don't know, you see somebody else do something to their Jeep, or you find yet another vendor that sells custom Jeep stuff, and you see it and you just got to have it. So this list is a very short list, and I don't think it's anywhere near complete, but it was what I was thinking of at the time. I've had my my BF Goodrich KM1 MT 32 by 11.5 by 15-inch tires for, I guess, about 2.5 years. And I figure that just based on some mileage estimates, I figure I've probably got about 45 to 50,000 miles out of them. And basically what I did was I bought 4 new of these MTs and had them installed, obviously, balanced, and really first time I think I've had 2 vehicles balanced in my life. No, I'm sorry, not balanced, front end alignment done. They always have the tires balanced. But I had a front end alignment done at the time, which may have helped the longevity of the tires. But so anyway, I think it'll be October. I think it's the first part of October. I will have had those tires for 3 years. And well, it's April now, so no, I probably won't make it all the way to October. Anyway, that's the number one thing on my list. And maybe you guys can I'm sorry, I just saw here on the XJ Talk chat that Mark from DETOURS says PCS piece of crap Ustream. Watch the Red Lobster commercial 4 times. Won't show me chat. Won't let me chat. Sucks. Oh, Mark, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had that happen to me as far as it showing me the commercial multiple times, unless I tried to, refresh the screen or close the thing and open it back up, or, something other than actually going through the pain of watching the commercial. Anyway, sorry that you're not able to get into chat. We'll be here for a little while. You might actually want to try restarting your PC. And that's kind of a general catch-all thing. But anything that might be in there that's hosing things up will probably get cleared out. And I know that there's been some attacks going on with Adobe products like Flash and Flash and I can't remember the other one. I'm reading some of the stuff that Mark is typing in. Sorry, guys. And so anyway, that may clear out some of that stuff that it's trying to hack your system. I know that I've seen some issues with mine, even though I've updated my Adobe stuff. It will act funny at times, and I think that it's because the attacks are still going on. They're just not finding their way into the security vulnerabilities of the Adobe software. Shockwave, that's what I was trying to think of. The Shockwave, which is what I believe Ustream uses to display the video and play the sounds. At any rate, getting back to my number one on my list, what's on your modified list? Hey PEI XJ's here. He says, hey Tony, and everyone else. The number one on my list is tires, because I've got quite a few miles on it, and I need to post up a picture, see what you guys think. I was talking to Matt the other day, chatting with him, and online, and he was trying to explain to me how I could tell if the tires were at the point where they needed to be replaced. And I think he said there was some sipes that show up that are there, and whenever they, I shouldn't say show up, whenever they go away, that means the tire is too low. That when your tires are being, or when your vehicle is being inspected, the inspector looks for those sipes on the tire to tell if it's, if it can pass inspection. And I took a picture. I don't see any of those little sipes that he was talking about. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. But so I took a picture, and I'm going to put that thing up on the site, and maybe you guys can tell me. I know from one of the meet and greets almost a year ago, I think it was Rainey that was telling me that, hey, you need some new tires. So I guess that was really my first realization that the tread was actually getting a little low. And it turned out the front tires were lower than what the rear tires were, and I think that's a lot of that has to do with the way I corner with the off-road suspension, and as stiff it is as it is, I can really corner very well. I like taking the 90-degree turns at 25 miles an hour, and I think it just always impresses me. I know the Jeep isn't a huge vehicle and not a real heavy vehicle, but with the heaviness of the custom bumpers and the size and the weight of the tires and the suspension system, it does very well. Not much roll, not much side to side, and of course I still have my my sway bar hooked up on front. So anyway, the thing I was looking at doing was either going to, and this was always the plan. I never planned on 32-inch tires. Well, I shouldn't say that. I did plan on 32-inch tires, but that was because that's what I figured I could get on with a 4.5-inch lift. Then the next step was going to be, in the step of getting larger tires, was going to be putting on the Bushwhacker flares, and hopefully that was going to give me enough room to put 33-inch tires. As it turns out, that is a good plan. Now with my 10 by 15 inch wheels, which I think might make a difference as far as rubbing whenever you're doing full turns, rubbing on the front end components, the tie rod and stuff. I don't have that problem at all, and that's with the 32 by 11.5. So my plan has been to go 32, then go to 33, 12.5. Well, after seeing some of the Jeeps with 35s, and after hearing and actually seeing, hearing that they do take it off road, and it hasn't broken anything, and some of them aren't very shy with the use of the skinny pedal, I'm seriously considering, and you guys may have heard this before, so I'll say I'm seriously considering again the 35-inch tires. And one of the reasons for that is, number one, it would drop my RPMs down, because with the 456 gears, it's very fun off-road. It's fun driving around, 0 to 40 or 60 miles an hour. But if you're out on the highway, if I'm trying to go down the highway at 70 miles an hour, it's about 2,800 RPM. And that's not horrible, but if it was, I think that it might help my, the gas mileage might be a wash with the weight of the tires. But I'm thinking that with larger tires, then of course my RPMs are going to drop down maybe into the 2,500 range, and that actually might make the Jeep get a little bit better gas mileage on the freeway than what it does now running at 2,800 RPMs. And of course it'll really look cool, and just like the idea of the 35-inch tires. I've seen them on Wranglers, and that's the other thing. I know that all the Wranglers that I've seen that are lifted with the 35-inch tires, the majority of them are ATs, of course, not MTs. The MT is what I'm looking at. Those the majority of them, that they're running a Dana 35 in the back, and it just it amazes me. Well, the first time I lifted a vehicle, which was my full-size pickup, I just went with what would fit. I didn't know anything about an axle, a differential, that assembly not being able to handle the additional torque. I did find out that it was a good idea to change out the ring and pinion with a lower gear so that you could actually get the vehicle moving easy. I found that out the hard way. The pickup that I had, I put 36.5-inch tires on it, and it was very sluggish. Of course, that was a 305 V8, and it was pretty sluggish to start with. But it was a lot of fun, and it really hooked me on the whole four-wheel drive thing. It was especially fun since it was it was especially fun sitting up that high. It's pretty funny. Marcus, he's trying to chat in the XJ Talk chat. He says, "Told you were geared too high, but no. I still like my 456 gears, Mark. They are really nice." And when I was looking at the 456s, I was kind of halfway thinking about the larger tires anyway. So it'll all work out. It's always a learning experience. And of course, that's what is the fun thing about life. Hopefully you don't make too many mistakes going down the road, and sometimes your mistakes work out to be good things. So the second thing I have on my list, well, it's taken a long time to go through this list, are the sliders. And actually on my post it's spelled with an I, but these are the sliders I've been looking at from DETOURS for some time now, because his sliders come with frame stiffeners. And I started finding out about frame stiffeners, and I liked what I was finding out. I like the idea of the vehicle not being very twisty. I mean, it feels pretty solid now, but according to Mark, that really stiffens up the unibody and causes them not to twist. It's enough where you can actually tell it whenever you're off-road. So Mark, now all teasing aside, Mark typed in no, not for sale. So have you taken them off your site again, or are you messing with me? See, I know Mark is concerned because whenever I want to order something from him, it's never just as he makes it. It's not exactly, what he's got the jig set up for. I always ask him, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? And there's this long pause, a sigh. Yeah. Now, sometimes he just tells me no, and sometimes he just tells me hell no. Like when I asked him about okay, when he was just typing in, they're on the sliders. He does have the sliders, but they're a bear to ship. Well, yeah, I guess that would be because of the price of the fuel right now. I guess those shipping prices, have started going up. I'm going with the tires first, because if my tires were good, I'd be going for the sliders. I've been wanting to get those sliders for some time, but I got to go with the tires first. So it'll probably be a little while, long enough for the fuel prices to drop back down. Because I don't know if you guys know it or not, but there's no reason in the world for the fuel. Just like last time this happened, there was no reason in the world for the fuel prices to be this high, and they're going to drop again because people are going to stop buying. And if they don't, if the price doesn't go down, the government is going to have to step in, because it's going to cause another recession. They're going to have to step in and do something, because I don't know about you, but if I got to spend all my fuel getting back and forth to work, I'm not buying anything else except what I absolutely have to buy. That means I'm not going out to eat. So the restaurants are being impacted. The whole economy is being impacted because more of our dollars have to go towards fuel. So, watch, it's going to drop again, and then it's going to build up, and it's going to drop until the government does something about these speculators. There's no reason for the fuel prices to be this high. OPEC, I think it was OPEC, is talking about reducing inventory because there's just too much oil. I mean, they make that announcement like that, and the price of oil continues to go up. There's no reason for it to be this high. So anyway, the thing I'm looking at next are the sliders. And then the thing that I've been needing to do since I first got the Jeep and started considering lifting it and putting the tires on it is the SYE, the slip yoke eliminator. And boy, that's something everybody should get. It was something that they said that several people on NAXJA suggested that it be done prior to doing a lift. And, it's a very good idea. But, the slip yoke eliminator, although it looks really good in pictures, it's very unsexy. It's not a lift. It's not large tires. There's no bling. There's nothing. You just have a warm fuzzy and knowing that it's there. Oh, and also too, your teeth stay in your head because they're not being vibrated out of your head because you have a bad angle. Although I don't think that I think that if I was having if I had too steep an angle on the drive shaft, I would have had some U-joint problems by now, and I haven't. And I have a little vibration, but shortly after getting the 32-inch PFGs, I started getting I guess what I would describe as cupping on the lugs on the outside of both tires. And to try to solve that situation, I replaced the wheel bearing assemblies and went with the heavier duty, I think they're the Nitro shocks from Rough Country, the 9177. And I have not seen that cupping since then. And I did get a lot of vibration out of it, but I think it was because of the wear on the tires. I took those tires, moved them to the back, and running them on the back straightened them out. And the ones when I put them on the front, the cupping didn't occur. So something that I did resolved that issue, and running the cupped tires on the back helped get rid of the cupping. I don't know if maybe it was just there wasn't more cupping and it just wore the tire down. But so I don't know. I don't know if it has anything to do with the wear on the tires. The vibrations I'm feeling now has to do with the wear on the tires, or if it has to do with the SYE. But anyway, SYE. I'm going to get a SYE, and I've been leaning towards getting an SYE that makes use of a front drive shaft. I love the Tom Woods SYE. I love the Tom Woods drive shaft that you get to go with that. I don't like the $500 price tag, but you know that you got good stuff if it's from Tom Woods. But I really like the idea of having two drive shafts that are the same. It's redundancy, because if the drive shaft breaks or drops or whatever, you can always take the one off the front, put it on the back, and drive home. It's just too appealing. Oh, and the other half of that was I can get an SYE for my 98 for, I think it was $109.95 from Dirt Bound Off-Road. So boy, it's hard to. I mean, I still have to get the front drive shaft, obviously, so it's not just going to be $100. But I can probably get I think Matt was telling me I can get a front drive shaft from a junkyard for somewhere between $40 and $60. So that would be 160, let's say 170, maybe 180 for an SYE and drive shaft. And I mean, even if I have to put some Spicer U-joints in it, that's not a big deal. So I mean, I don't think those things cost more than $20 a piece, and I guess there's 3 of them on the front drive shaft. So I think that's the direction I'm going to go with that. And then the other thing is, and this will be further down the road because it's very pricey. I mean, we're talking about, I guess, $1,000, $1,200, $1,300. A rear ARB air locker. I really want the air locker. I want to have the ability to press a button and have that positive traction in the rear end, both sides. Both tires are going to turn, and hopefully I don't break anything in the process. And I guess that will be more of an issue with the 35-inch tires. Certainly, if and when I go with a air locker on the front, the Dana 30, with the standard axles, might be a little, from what I've been reading, what I've been told, that might be a little too much with 35s. But I'm mainly on-road with my vehicle, not off-road. And I don't do rocks. So I'm thinking, and a few people have assured me that if you take it easy on the skinny pedal, you can do miracles. And I'll point to people on using, putting 35s on Dana 35s and just beating the hell out of those vehicles. So that was my list, and we had a few other people jump in with theirs. Blue Dragon, who is a new member and also too new to at least modifying his XJ. I'm not sure how long he's had his Jeep, but he had on his list long arms, SYE, 410 or 456 gears, sliders, front and or rear locker, and bumpers. And I'll mention this again, and I only say this because it's really a cool idea, and I'm a big believer in the products that Detours makes. I would, before you go and get a full bumper replacement, whether it be front or rear, take a really close look at the backbone and the tailbone. It is a really cool idea. And I liked the idea of the full bumper initially, and I remember Mark was telling me one day that because I had been recently hit from behind, nothing that really did any damage, but I thought it would be really nice to have more a beefier bumper, so that when somebody hit me, I could go and look and say, yeah, I see where you scratched the paint, pull out the spray can and spray it, and they could call the tow truck for their vehicle. And Mark mentioned to me that, well, you know, with a stiffer bumper, it's going to, the likelihood of it causing unibody damage is higher because you don't have that give that the OEM bumper, where they had to, you know, the government mandated that they build in the 5 mile per hour impact. So certainly you may run that same risk with the tailbone or the backbone if they hit you in the area that where it's tied to the unibody, but you know, that's just the middle of the bumper. So this is a really cool idea because you get the ability to have a tire carrier on your Jeep that is more than capable of handling the weight of that tire because of the way the tailbone is constructed. Plus you get recovery points, and you keep the custom bumper. So if somebody does run into you, you know, if they hit you in the middle of the bumper, yeah, it's the tailbone is going to take the impact. But there's also, you know, 2 feet one side, 2 feet to the other. So now you've got the ability to absorb some of that impact. And also too, those bumpers, especially from the junkyards, are very cheap. I mean, that bumper, brand new from the factory, I think is $116. Just that thin piece of metal that goes across there, and it is thin piece of metal. I was actually shocked about how thin that thing was. Oh, hell, I was shocked that it was only $116 from a dealer. But anyway, and the same is true for the front bumper, the plastic front bumper, which is I guess that's on the 97 pluses. That is that formed plastic. But it was a hard decision because it was kind of a neat idea to maintain that stock look, but have the benefits of the recovery points and the winch, and the for the back, the spare tire. So if and when I go to another Jeep Cherokee, a second one, I'm going to use the backbone and the tailbone from Detours. It's just too cool a system, and I would not trade my my front and rear bumpers for anything, but it kind of would be nice to have both. So I'm actually thinking about getting my daughters a Jeep Cherokee to drive around, and so I'm kind of got it in the back of my head as far as what I could do to it to make it kind of a cool vehicle for them to drive around in. Yeah, the one vehicle will turn into two, I know, eventually, but you know, they're pretty close in age, and I'm poor. So anyway, that was what was on my list. There was a few more here that posted up what they had on their modification wish list, and I urge you to go to xjtalk.com and just look for, let's see, what was it called again? I had it right here in front of me. Yeah, what's on your modified wish list? So I'll remind you again, if anybody would like to call in, we only have a couple of people on in the chat room tonight. I wonder what's going on. That's very few people on. I guess I didn't send out enough reminders, or maybe there's something going on the television. East Texas Hunter says the Colombian chick on Modern Family is nice. You know, the first movie that I ever saw her in, Sophia is her name. Her last name escapes me at the moment. The first movie that I ever remember seeing her in was Big Trouble with Tim Allen. It was a pretty funny movie. And she played a live-in housemaid. And I thought to myself, why are they trying to make this white girl look like some Latin girl? She's obviously just this white chick they got playing this movie. She's pretty, and somebody wanted her in the movie, and she got it because she's pretty. Well, then I was really surprised to find out that she is Latin, and she's naturally blonde, or kind of a brownish blondish. And that was, I think, one of the reasons why I thought she was a white girl. And actually now in Modern Family, her hair is very, very black, and that's because she dyes it that way. Her hair is more blonde than black. But she's very funny. I love, I think it was last week's episode, because of her heavy accent, she took her niece to the mall, and before taking her, she asked one of the two dads, adopted dads, if it was okay to have her ears pierced. And the heavy accent made it where they really didn't understand what she said, and this one guy said, "Yeah, sure." So she took this 2-year-old, 3-year-old to the mall and had her ears pierced. And it was very funny to me because my wife, originally from Mexico, she's been here since 3rd grade, so you know, no heavy accent. She, without asking me, she takes our first daughter somewhere, I don't know that it was the mall, but takes my first daughter someplace when she's about 2 years old and has her ears pierced. I was pissed. And then she does the same thing to our next daughter. So they've both had their ears pierced, and I was assured that this is what Mexicans do. They have their ears pierced very early. So it brought back those memories, seeing that in the show last week. It was pretty funny. So anyway, the other thing here I was going to actually I'm going to jump over to this other deal. I was talking about backbones and tailbones from Detours USA, and Mark actually took a backbone system, which is the front bumper winch mount, and he documented how to take the backbone and turn it into a full customized winch bumper. And that's on our site. It's actually one of the articles on our site, so you can see that. And gosh, there must be 10 or 12 pictures, detailed pictures of all that he went through. And if you've never seen anybody do metal work, this isn't video, but it's stills. It's really interesting to me because I've never had the benefit of welding something and grinding it down and not being able to see a seam. It's the work that he's done here. It's seamless, and it just, to me, is an amazing thing. It makes me want to try it, to see if I can do as good, which I'm sure I can. I just have to practice. So anyway, I recommend you go to xjtalk.com and have a look at that post that he did. Again, it's on the home page. So just xjtalk.com, and if you go down to the articles, you'll see at the very bottom a list of articles, and I think his is on top. I'm just scrolling down there now. Yep, his is the first one, just under SARS featured XJ, and it says convert DETOURS backbone to a custom full bumper. And this is actually a customer of his that has had, I think Mark was telling me, this is the third bumper that this customer's had Mark build, and they're all just like this. And I said, well, what does he do with them? And he says, well, he puts them on his Jeep Cherokee and drives it around, and then sells the Jeep Cherokee and then gets another one, and then he wants the same bumper. So it's kind of a composite standard bumper and tube bumper. And whereas I'm not a big tube bumper fan on XJs, I think they look good on Wranglers and CJs. This is a nice looking bumper, and it gives you a good idea about how you could take a DETOURS backbone and build your own full bumper out of it. And the really cool thing is that the backbone already has the toe points on it, and of course the winch bit. So it's a cool idea, something to build off of, and you wind up with a custom bumper with a good base. Anyway, I really appreciate that, Mark. That was very interesting. I know it's never easy to work on something and take pictures at the same time. It's a lot easier to just work through it and get it done. So really appreciate it, and I'm sure several people on the site are very appreciative of the time that you took to put that together and put it up on the site for us. So anyway, the other thing I was going to talk about, something else I've been wanting to do to my Jeep for a while, is add some gauges. I mean, I have a full instrument cluster, as many of us do, but there's some things that are not available that I would like to have. Specifically, for the automatic transmission, the AW4 in my case, I'd like to know what the fluid temperature is. With the oversized tires and additional weight and full-size spare, that's all things that wear and cause the transmission to have to work a little harder. And of course, my heavy foot accelerating has a tendency to wear the transmission and make it a little hotter. I'd like to know how hot it's getting. I mean, it's a key thing to know, especially if you're on a cross-country trip. Or towing something, or both. It's a key thing to know, so that you can let your transmission cool before damage occurs. It's also a good indicator of do you need additional transmission cooling or not. And that's something I've taken off recently because I found a leak. I was happy to find that it was just the hose clamps had loosened up for some reason. I took off my 13,000 BTU B&M transmission cooler, and I need to put that back on there. But having the ability to see the difference in temperature, with it on and off would be very interesting. And it would also be a good idea for me to know, do I need to add a fan to the back of that cooler, or do I need a bigger one? It would also tell me in the wintertime, when it's really, really cool outside, if I should have, if I should put something in front of it so it doesn't get so cold. I remember the transmission, when I would first start my vehicle, start driving it down the road, it would kind of shudder a little bit. And, it was the transmission that was kind of, I don't know, it was almost like it was engaging too heavy. And I think it was because the transmission fluid was very cold, and maybe it had a little too much friction to it than what it was used to. So it would be good to know what the temperature was on those days as well. I'd really like to remove the cooling lines, the transmission cooling lines that are going to the radiator, and see if that would help my running hot on the highway. I can't help but believe that removing the transmission fluid from the radiator would help the cooling. Well, let's see. We've got Bryan calling in. I believe this is Hooked on XJs. Let's see if we can get him on here. Hey, Bryan, can you hear me okay?
Hello?
So you can't hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Yes. If you remove the lines going to your radiator and put in a tranny cooler.
Let me tell you real quick, you need to turn down the volume on the show, because you're going to hear an echo, and that's going to confuse you.
I can't hear you.
Okay, how about now? Is that any different?
Can you hear me now?
Well, that's strange. It says the microphone is...
Hey, I'm going to call you.
Okay. That's strange that it says the microphone is muted, and I don't know why that would be. Very strange. Okay, well anyway, he's going to call me back on the landline, I believe. So we'll just wait for him to do that. And it's really interesting. It says that it's shows there that it's working. Okay, Bryan, sorry about that. It looks like looks like it was...
I can hear you now, Tony.
Yeah, it looks like it was muted. It looks like the Skype mic is muted, and I don't understand why. I was just looking at that. Anyway, go ahead. You were talking about the disconnecting, what happens when you disconnect the lines, the transmission lines from the radiator.
Oh, then your tranny fluid's not heated up by the... oh, I gotta get the hell out of here. Okay, now I see it. Yeah, the antifreeze heats up the tranny fluid.
Yeah, I was told that in Texas that shouldn't be a problem most of the time, though.
Yeah, I put in the, I don't know if you're familiar with it, it's called the triple threat, and it's got 3 electric fans, and the guy told me to run an auxiliary tranny cooler, and I haven't smelt any burned tranny fluid since then.
Well, when you say triple threat, you mean a 3 electric fan set up for cooling of the radiator?
There's a guy that I found on another Cherokee website, and he doesn't even advertise on it, but he has an aluminum radiator, and you get 3 fans and the shroud for $4.99.
Okay.
And anyway, he told me not to run the tranny cooler built in the radiator, to run like an outboard tranny cooler, and so far it seems to work pretty good. But when I was shopping for tranny coolers, there's, I think the brand's called Hayden, and they actually have like a tranny cooler that has like a fan with a shroud built on it. And that's the one he said he recommended, but I'm not that rich. Yeah,
I know what you mean.
But, I mean, it sounds like it would work really good to me.
Yeah, I like the idea of, if you put a fan on the auxiliary transmission cooler and then have a temperature sensor that reads the coolant temperature, then of course that fan comes on only when needed, and would allow the allow the coolant or rather the fluid to heat up on those cold days.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I was looking at doing too. I just don't think where I was currently mounting the transmission cooler, I don't think I'd have a place for a fan as well. But
oh yeah, me neither. I just bought I think it's called the heavy duty model from Hayden, and it was about, I think I paid like $29 for it.
Oh, that's
online.
not bad. That's not bad at all.
No, I think it measures like 15 inches by. Oh no, maybe it's like 12 inches by 18 inches. It's fairly large. And I actually called up Hayden, and they're really nice over there. They're out here in a city called Corona. I could have probably drove there, but they're very nice to me on the phone. And Hayden makes like an aftermarket fan clutch too that's heavy duty. I don't know if it's the same as the ZJ one or not, but he knew an awful lot about Jeeps, that's for sure.
That always makes you feel good when they know what you're driving, know about what you're driving. Gives you a bit more confidence in what they're telling you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the guy was really cool, and he even recommended not running the tranny fluid through the radiator. He said that's what they do at the factory. Is in the instructions it tells you to loop it through the transmission cooler that's built into the radiator, but he said to bypass it and it'll run cooler.
It makes sense, and several people have told me. I'm just a little nervous about doing that and having my transmission overheat. So I'm going to get that. I think it's a B&M transmission temperature sensor. I saw it on Amazon for like $47. So that's where
they might have like a B&M tranny cooler that has like a port in it for a sensor.
No, they very well made, but this one actually just tees into the line, so it'll be a real easy setup.
That'd be cool too.
Yeah, so that's.
Yeah, I've never really gave that much thought.
Yeah, so I'm planning on doing that, but I want to get that. I want to get that gauge first, and
cool.
See where it is, especially with summer coming up. So hopefully, I'm going to be doing that here pretty soon. And of course, I'll be doing write up on XJ Talk. Well, Bryan, thanks.
You guys get pretty hot in Texas?
Very. Upwards of 100 degrees with a lot of humidity.
Oh, okay. I was at the Colorado River one summer, and it was 128.
Yeah, it didn't get that hot.
That's hot.
I've
been in Death Valley when it's like 130.
Yeah, that's very hot. That's like Iraq hot. Well, Bryan, thanks a lot
all we did was sit around and drink beer.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Thanks a lot for calling. We're here at the end of the show, and
one more thing I wanted to mention.
Sure, go right ahead.
Is I was listening to you about your daughter's earrings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my ex-mother-in-law took my daughter down when she was like 6 months and had them pierced.
Oh no, that 6 months to me is just way too young. I'll have to double check.
Hey, one more question, Tony, if you have a moment, please.
Yeah, just a second. I'm gonna have to double check with my wife because guys never do remember things like they really were. So I'll have to check with her. But I'm thinking that they were around 2 years old, both of them, when they reached about that age. She took them down and had their ears pierced. What was your other item?
The other item. How come when your show's going, I can't log in? I forgot my password and all that.
I don't know, man. That sounds like something. The solution to that is a Post-it note away. All you have to do is write that down before the show, post it on your monitor, and then you'll have it.
Yeah. What if I forgot to post it?
There's only a minimal amount of suggestions that I can have for you before I have to recommend you get professional help.
Yeah, I'm beyond help, really.
Nah.
All right, Tony.
I'm sure you're fine. But thanks a lot for calling in. It's always great to have calls, and I'll catch you on the site.
Okay, man.
Well, guys, it's been a great show. Of course, most of it's been me talking, which I don't know. I enjoyed it. But that's some of the things I got planned for my Jeep, and of course the gauge. I'm going to get one of those 2-gauge pillars. I have a 3-gauge pillar, but and I guess what I'll do is I'll actually take it out and make sure that it is not going to do what I want it to do. But I'm kind of concerned about the angle. I think that it's made for a vehicle that has a steeper angle windshield, and I don't think the gauges are going to be positioned properly. But and also too, it's very wide. It's much wider than what the XJ A pillar is on the inside. So I'm actually thinking about just getting a 2-gauge that's made for the Jeep Cherokee, and putting a and I'm pretty sure that this is what I'm gonna go with. Definitely the transmission fluid temperature gauge, and possibly a vacuum gauge. It would be interesting to me to know what the engine vacuum is while I'm driving, and you can actually use that to improve your fuel economy as well, because the higher the vacuum, the less fuel you're using. Of course, you may be getting honked at the same time, but it's what those hypermilers do. They drive down the road and take these optimum computerized paths and accelerate very slowly and try not to brake, try to coast as much as possible. And I think that some of those things are getting upwards of 100, 110 miles per gallon. But then again, they've got people that are very angry at them if they get behind them. And they're driving Hondas. They're not even hybrids. They're just small 4-cylinder cars. So, I guess it's a good hobby. Some people like listening to music. Some people like talking on the ham radio while they drive. Some people like seeing how much gas mileage they can get. Tell you what, getting 110 miles a gallon would be really pretty cool. Which, by the way, I'll mention this. I did try to line up a guest for this week, and I was going to let it be a surprise, but I'll go ahead and mention this in hopes that I'll be able to get somebody on soon. There has been some interest expressed in amateur radio on XJ Talk, and since I was licensed so many years ago, I was going to try to get somebody on the show that could explain to us the steps that you need to go through to get licensed, including who to contact or how to find out who to contact in your area to set up taking a test. It's very easy, and it's a lot of fun and wonderful communications to have available to you in an emergency situation. And with all the bad weather that the middle of the United States, and I guess the East Coast to a certain degree, has been going through, it's more apparent now than probably most times how handy that emergency communications capability could be. So hopefully I'll find somebody and get them here on the show, and we can listen and take questions and answers. So guys, until next week, I'm Tony Motoroy on xjtalk.com, and well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the site.
This is Big Jim 350, and I f***ing love xjtalk.com.
Aww. Hot stuff coming up. Oh my God. Hot stuff coming up.
Okay.